Oh, I love that. I love that music. You guys saw me having fun back there, right? Oh, I am about to have an amazing conversation. And you get to sit with me as I talk to this special guest. We're talking about the explosion in the coaching industry with Dr. Mallory Salentine. She is going to share with us her story of finding awareness in her own life and how she now finds herself happy, thriving, and finding joy in her work. So welcome. If you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. And here on the channel, I help to educate, I help to empower, and I help to encourage you to take charge of your health, your life, avoid complications, and go to that next level, living the life you've always wanted. If you're new to the channel, if you're new to me, I would love to welcome you. So go ahead and put new in the comments. If you're watching this on the replay, go ahead and put replay. So hashtag replay so that we know that you're there. If you have questions, go ahead and put those in the chat as well. And you can reach us on all of our social media platforms. So glad that you are here tonight on this episode. This is Diabetes Awareness Month. And as you know, I have been doing a show every day. Now, on our last show from last night, there was no sound. Yeah, I know. You guys told me that. There was hey, Dr. Wood, there's no sound. So we're going to actually redo that show tonight. We're not going to move on to the next segment. We're going to come back and we're going to do that. So join us between 9:30 and 10 o'clock tonight. Yeah, I know you got to be up late to watch that. And today is World Diabetes Day. And we are celebrating that with those people who are suffering with diabetes. Now, World Diabetes Day, the plug for this year is to encourage our leaders to provide more education for those almost 500 million people on the planet that are suffering with diabetes. So go ahead, and if you've not already done so, go ahead and find that playlist on our channel. It's called Diabetes 101. Watch those, catch up, and then we're continuing the month in this same vein. Now, normally right here is where I do a shout out for our schools. Last week, I did a shout out to Oakwood Adventist Academy. We do a shout out to businesses. And tonight I've got a special shirt on. And, you know, they tell me that, yeah, right. And this one is someone suggested this. It says Dwayne Wood MD. So I'm not shouting out somebody else tonight, right? And I'm not, you know, I don't want to shout out myself, but that's what it says, Dwayne Wood MD. Right. But for all of you guys who we've shouted out before, we're glad that you are here, glad that you've helped us, glad that you are doing things in the community. So thank you very much. Well, yeah, with all that said, let's jump right into our conversation. As I said, Dr. Mallory Salentine is here to share with us her experiences. And we're just going to talk about her story. As you guys know how we do it here, right? We bring them on and we just have a conversation and we get some amazing information as we talk to the various people that we bring on. And tonight, like I said, I'm excited to have Dr. Mallory Salentine on. So Dr. Salentine, welcome to our show tonight.
Hi, everyone. I love this music. It's so great.
Yeah, that's amazing music. So now let me say this, and I'm going to say this at the outset. You guys don't know that I met Dr. Salentine it was almost kind of like a random thing that we were doing that we ran into each other. But you guys are already benefiting from her work, because we had a very brief conversation that initial time, and we've spoken several times since then. But our show and the things that I do are partially an outgrowth of those conversations that we had. So thank you very much for already giving benefit to my audience.
Oh, Dr. Wood, you're so kind. Thank you for having me here. And really, that's what coaching is all about, right? You're the one that was doing the work. You're the one giving that benefit to your viewers here. And I was just kind of along the journey with you. So thank you for allowing me to be there with you.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, why don't you take a moment and just introduce yourself to our audience? Tell them who you are. We'll get into kind of your story and coaching, but just take a couple of minutes and do that right now.
Yeah, so I am a general pediatrician and I am also an executive leadership coach. I actually lead the physician well-being work within my organization, and then I also coach internally and externally, and I also do some consulting externally for well-being as well.
Awesome, awesome. All right. Well, so you said those words, right? So coaching, well-being, leadership. First of all, it seems like every time I am on the internet, every time I turn on something, somebody's talking about coaching. So what exactly is coaching? Because a lot of people, when they think about coaching, they're thinking like softball, basketball. What is coaching? And how does that differ from things like, I don't know, therapy and so forth?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. And I think a lot of people, when they come to a coach, they think that they're going to get advice because that's what a coach does in softball or in basketball or in baseball, is that they're really helping that athlete to be able to get to their highest level by giving them advice, giving them training, really kind of showing them what they're doing and how to fix things. And coaching that we're talking about is similar to that, but it's a little bit different. So we are there to have intentional conversations, to open up perspectives, to find blind spots, things that maybe you're not seeing that are holding you back. Your coach can see and kind of show you what's happening for you. So instead of your coach really giving you advice of this is what you should do next, or maybe you should try to lift 10 more pounds, or things like that, your coach is really kind of listening very deeply to what is happening for you and helping you see that and create solutions that are best for you. So, if I were to say, Dr. Wood, you need to go, lift 10 more pounds today, you might say, okay, Dr. Salentine, that sounds great. But I actually think 20 pounds would be better because 10 doesn't really mean a whole lot to me, right? So that's kind of the difference between some of the coaching that we see in athletics versus the coaching that we see in what we're talking about in kind of life and leadership, is that we're helping you kind of figure out what is the best solution for you, and you're the one that's figuring that out. So that was, what we were talking about earlier when you said that um, that a lot of what your viewers are seeing is coming from that conversation that we had. That's because you figured out what was best for you and what was best for your viewers through that conversation that we had very intentionally around this channel.
Awesome, awesome. Now you said several words in there that I want to kind of pick on. So tell me about this deep listening. What does that mean to a client? I mean, and what does that mean to everybody, right? Because honestly, sometimes people don't listen, right? So you ask them a question and they start talking and your brain is off somewhere else. So what is deep listening?
Yeah, so it's very interesting because as a doctor, we are listening to solve your problem, right? So when someone comes in to see me and they're like, I have a fever and I have an earache, and they have an ear infection, I'm like, well, here's your antibiotics. And I'm kind of listening to hear of what is that solution going to be that I'm going to give to that person. Whereas as a coach, I'm going into just listening to the person who has a problem, and I'm not the one that's solving that problem for them. And so I'm just there to listen, to reflect, to mirror for understanding of what's going on that maybe that person is not seeing.
Wow, wow. To have somebody that is actually listening to you, that's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not the one that's sitting here trying to solve, problem after problem. My mind isn't going 100 miles a minute because I'm trying to put all the pieces together. I'm
hmm
really just here and listening at a very deep level of understanding and seeing what's happening for you. So sometimes even listening can be like seeing a shift in energy.
hmm
So, sometimes a client might be talking like really low, just energy isn't really there. And then all of a sudden they'll say something and they'll start laughing and smiling, and this huge energy shift happens. And part of that listening is seeing those energy shifts and being like, what happened right there? How did that energy change? Like, what was going on in your mind and your body when that happened? And really understanding what is happening for that person so that they can be more aware of what is happening for them.
Wow, wow. Well, so I mean, back to this idea of coaching. So we're listening. Why has there been, or why does there seem to be so many people looking for coaches and so many coaches that are appearing recently?
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I think for one, like coaching changes your life. I mean, there's no way about it. Having someone who listens to you so deeply, is seeing the things that maybe you're not aware of, is bringing that awareness to you, is helping you with your blind spots. It changes your perspective. It changes your mindset. It changes everything. And so after coaching, your life will not be the same. It'll be much more positive. And I think that's a big thing. So when we talk about like all of the people that have gone into becoming a coach and all of that, I think a lot of us have experienced that and experienced that life change. And we want to be able to provide that for others. And so I think that is really huge of that experience that we've had. I think a couple other things is that, through COVID, we were all kind of at home a lot. We were isolated. We were spending a lot of time thinking about where are we in our lives right now and where do we want to be in the future. And so there was a lot of time spent kind of reflecting on who we are and who we want to be, and movement towards that person that we want to be in that place that we want to be. And we're starting to notice that we're able to move to a certain extent, but then we can't get past that next step. Like there's something that's blocking the way there that we just aren't seeing. And coaching really helps you to get past those blocks, to get past those blind spots, to really be aware of what's happening and help you get to who you want to be. And I think people are seeing that, right? Like they have this idea of where they want to be and who they want to be. And they're just having a hard time getting past that barrier. And so coaching really helps you to get past that, to get to exactly who you want to be and exactly where you want to be. And I think the last piece is that we're talking a lot more about mental and behavioral health than we've ever talked about before. And so I know that you were asking about therapy, and we can definitely talk about that too. But I think a lot of people are seeing therapists more. I think a lot of people are seeing psychiatrists more. And I think a lot of people are seeing coaches more because we're talking about it more. And I think that is so valuable and is going to change the world the more we can talk about how we're feeling and how we're doing and where our mindset is and who we want to be.
Wow. Now I'll tell you, when we first met, and I actually don't remember because there were so many things going on in my head, and so I told you a bunch of things, right? So right, everything just came flooding out, and you asked me a question. You said, "So what are you going to do?" I mean, that was all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, well, what does she mean? What am I going to do? Right? Because I almost wanted you to say, well, I think this is the best idea right here. And it's so amazing to me, right? Talking to patients, talking to clients even, and to have them almost struggle with a question and then on the other side say, oh, okay, well, I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. Right. Simply with them evaluating that question for themselves. And I think, I did a video, and one of the things that I said in the video is that when someone comes, we believe that they are capable and that they are able, with some assistance, to evaluate where they are and come up with a stepwise plan for doing some things.
Yeah. Yeah. We believe that you are a whole person. You're able to do this. You're able to do hard things, right? We've all been through the past 2 years. We all know that we can do hard things, right? And so we truly believe that as coaches is that you can do this and you have the answer within you. It's just bringing that answer out. It's becoming more aware of what is happening for you and where you want to be. And I think it's interesting you brought up with the patients too. I do this with my patients now also, right? I'm offering to them like what do you think is the right solution for you? And it's really amazing how empowering that is to be the person that gets to make that decision instead of having your doctor, instead of having your coach make that decision for you. It really helps you to find control and empower yourself to be able to do these things. So it's a really beautiful skill.
Right, right, right. So take us back a little bit. Take us back prior to you becoming a coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me jump in and say, I think being a physician in a lot of ways, you have been coaching for a while, right?
Yeah.
You may not have called yourself a coach, but in a lot of instances, you were doing some coaching. But prior to becoming an official coach, if you will, what was going on with you, and what brought you to coaching?
Yeah. So I was, in residency, in medical school, really like I went into this because I care about people and I wanted to help people. And so in medical school, in residency, it was all about helping my patients. It was learning as much as I could. It was being there all the time. It was always being present for my patients to the detriment of myself, right? So I was working tons of hours. I was not really sleeping much because I was always at the hospital. I was always available. If someone had to call me from home, I would be available for them. I was always studying. I wanted to be the best person that I could be, the best doctor that I could be for my patients. And I stopped doing the things that I loved doing. And so when I started in my first job as a general pediatrician, I kept that life up. So I was working all the time. I was coming in early to clinic and I'd be up all night working until I went to bed. And then I'd get up the next morning and I'd do the same thing all over again. And that chronic stress was really difficult for me. And I wasn't doing anything that I loved. I wasn't taking care of myself. And I actually had a colleague that sat me down one day and he was like, you can't do this anymore. Like, you can't be up until 10 or 11 at night working and then come in the morning and do the same thing. Like, you just can't do this. And so I didn't have that awareness at the time. I just thought this was what you do as a doctor, right? I was like, I'm taking care of my patients. And I thought I was doing it in a way that was best for my patients, when in reality, I was not, because I was not taking care of myself. And so after that, I started thinking, like, I need to find a way to find joy in my work again and in my life again. And so I actually just started saying yes to things. So I know we talk about, creating boundaries and saying no and things like that. But for me, creating boundaries was saying yes. And it was saying yes to things for myself, which then created that boundary for the things that weren't for me. Right. So I was saying yes to mindfulness-based stress reduction, even though I never enjoyed meditating in my life. But I was like, they say this is going to work for my stress, so I'm going to do it. And so I said yes to that. I said yes to the well-being committee that was formed at my hospital. I said yes to becoming the chair of that committee when the chair position was available. And because of that work, I actually went through a leadership development course. And in that leadership development course, we were each given a leadership coach. And that was my first experience with coaching. And at the time, I felt like an imposter. I felt like I was in this position because I wanted to help myself. But did I really know what I was doing? Did I really have, the expertise in this? And so through that leadership coaching, I really learned to be confident in myself. And I think part of that is from our medical training, right? We, as medical students, as residents, we get asked lots of questions from our attending physicians. We get asked lots of questions that we probably don't know the answer to, but we feel like we should know the answer to it. And so when I went into my leadership role and I would get asked questions from people who were my leaders, I would feel like I should know the answer to this, or I would know the answer, but I would feel like I wasn't confident in that answer because of all of this that I've been through, of not always knowing or not always being the best, or not having all of the answers. And so that leadership coach training really helped me to build my confidence as a leader and starting to see value in myself and in the work that I was doing and that I was able to do. So that was my first experience with coaching, and it really was focused on my role as a leader. So not as much on myself as a person, but in that I was able to really build a lot of confidence in myself as a person. So then the next coach that I had, I actually hired um, just over a year ago, and really helped me kind of change my perspective about work, understand where my stress was coming from, create plans to improve those things. And now I'm just like loving what I'm doing. I'm loving being a pediatrician. I'm loving the well-being work that I'm doing. I'm loving the coaching. And so it's really amazing how I went from this place of really chronic stress and feeling like an imposter, feeling like I don't know what I'm doing, to this area of like being totally confident, like loving what I'm doing, enjoying life. And I never thought I would get here. even even when I started with coaching and I hired my own coach, like I felt even skeptical of coaching when I started. But now I just know like how much this can really change your life and how important it is to do this work and to have someone that helps you see those things that you're not seeing. So that way, when you're able to make that change, it just changes everything. And I will never go back. I love it.
I love when I sent and asked you for a quote for the show. You sent a simple one. You said, "If you name it, you can tame it." And then you went on to talk, and those words that I used at the beginning of the show, right? So now I'm happy, thriving, and finding joy in my work. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't like to use certain words that they feel like are triggers, like burnout or trauma or things like that. And for me, it was really about understanding what was happening for me and using those words and naming what was happening, because then I knew what it was and then I could go through and fix it. And so I really love the idea of, if you can name it, you can tame it. Whereas if you know what is happening for you, then you can make a change, right? If you know what's happening to you, you can make a change. And it's so empowering, and it takes back the control. Like if you feel like you're just always stressed, like I was just always stressed, and I really did not know what was happening for me. And I just felt like I could never get out of it. Like I could never get out of stress no matter what I did. And then once I was able to name that, then it was like everything changed. Now I can create plans, I can create solutions, I can figure out what it is that I need to feel good in what I'm doing. And so I just love that quote so much. If you can name it, you can tame it. And I think don't be afraid of naming things, because then once you have that awareness, you can really go ahead and create solutions.
All right. I love that. Love that. All right. So there are people out there that are watching right now, right? Or people who don't even realize, and they're not quite satisfied, but they're not sure why. Mm-hmm. It's like, they wake up and they go through the motions, and there's something not right. They've got some aspirations, but life has given them a turn for what they don't think is the best. How does that person kind of get out of that?
Yeah.
You think?
But I feel like we see that a lot in medicine with what we call the arrival fallacy of like, we work and we work and we work and we work until we finally get to our job that we're like, this is going to be it, right? This is going to be our forever job. We're going to be here. We're going to love it. We've worked so hard to get here. And then we get there and we're like, wait, things aren't really any different, right? Like it kind of feels the same. And so that's the arrival fallacy of like, you feel like once you arrive at a place that you're going to be happier, and it's just not true. And so same with people that feel like there's just this like there's this thing that's missing, or there's something that life has thrown at them that they just don't feel like they can get past. And I think the biggest piece of this is understanding like what is underneath that. So what can you control in the situation, and what can you maybe not control? And how do we focus on what you can control? And how do you create those solutions around what it is that you can control for yourself? Because I think a lot of the time we feel like we're in this place where we just don't have any sort of control, and everything just kind of feels like things are happening to us, and it feels like the world is just like keeps throwing things, right? Like, especially over the past couple of years, like the world just keeps throwing things at us, and you know, we can have resiliency, right? We can bounce back from stress, we can exercise, we can meditate, we can, you know, find gratitude, we can do all of these things to help us kind of bounce back. But every time the world throws us something else, it just, you know, we just have to keep like trying to bounce back. It just doesn't feel right. And so really figuring out like, what is it that you have control over? What is it that makes you feel safe and feel heard and feel listened to? And what is it that that makes you feel comfortable and good, and leaning into those things? And I think what coaching really helps with is, a lot of us, when we start this journey of like, we want something better, we just don't know what that better is. So, you know, we don't know, like, especially in the physician world, but I think elsewhere too, like, you kind of work yourself into this area that you've spent your whole life working towards. And then you feel kind of stuck. Like, you know, I don't know if it's this role that I'm in right now. I don't know if it's that I want to do something completely different. And if I do, like, I don't even know what that is. And so that's something that coaching can be really helpful for, is to discover like, what are those pieces that you love, that you enjoy, that you feel control over, and how do we bring more of that to your life every day?
Oh, yeah, yeah. You know, what I love, and you mentioned this a little while ago, is that, you know, so the pandemic has done a lot of things, okay? It's lots of crazy things. But I think one of the things that it's done, it's helped us to really see that in some instances, we had, it wasn't that we gave up on our dreams or gave up on our goals, but we were just so tired and we were so busy, and just there was so much going on. And so the pandemic probably helped us to realize, hey, I can still do that thing, or I still do like that thing, or I still, right? And so I think coaching is a perfect place and way and mechanism to help people begin to break down those barriers that have been built up. Like you said, you know, we don't exactly know what I want, but let's explore it. Let's see if there's something out there that I can do right now.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, so residency is crazy. You're in practice now. You're taking care of all these babies. We're in RSV season now.
There are.
I remember, you know, I sent a text to one of my co-residents, well, one of the people who was in my residency back then, and I remember sitting at Dayton Children's Hospital, and it was, I don't know, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and we had admitted maybe 20 kids, and the ER is calling, and there's another, you know, 10 that are down there, and it's only 1 o'clock and we've got till 6 o'clock to go.
Yeah.
So residency was a big deal. And I tell people, probably was one of the most stressful times in my life, right? I did a combination medicine and pediatric residency. And so at our hospital, I mean, it was go. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about me that you want to know, and you guys out there as well. I was on call one night. I was the senior, and we had admitted a patient, and there was another one waiting. And I said, okay, I told my junior, I'm going to run to the bathroom, and I'll be back, and we'll go see that patient. And just as I left him to go to the restroom, the code went off, right? And I'm the senior, like I'm the guy that has to go run the code. And so bathroom had to wait. Right? So I run upstairs and I'm doing this code, and we intubated the guy, and and I don't even know how long it took. But sometimes everything else takes priority over us. And I tell that story for residency, but in our lives as well, that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's some things that you can't control, right? And that is something that we have to figure out. What are we okay with? So in your situation, like you can't control when someone needs your immediate help, right? And sometimes you have to respond to things that you have to be there for, that you have to respond to. But then there might be other times where maybe things could wait. So let's say that you were rounding later that day and you really have to go to the bathroom, and your team can wait. You can go to the bathroom, even though it feels like you can't. I mean, I know in residency it never felt like you could go to the bathroom. But I mean, there's things that are circumstances that you have to do. And same thing with your life. There are circumstances that you might run into that you have to go along with, or that you have to be a part of. And I think managing your mind around those circumstances is really important. So for you, you were saying like, I had to save this life, right? And that was really important for you. It was important for your patient. It was important for their family. It was important for the world, right? And so I think, managing your mind around that of like, I'm going to go save a life instead of go to the bathroom right now. And I'm okay with that, right? Whereas other times, it might be like, instead of, um, putting in this like order for diapers, like for me, like, right, I have to order diapers. So if I have to order diapers today, that might wait 5 minutes so I can go to the bathroom, right? And so I think managing your mind and learning how to manage your mind around certain circumstances is really, really important, because when you went in that day and you were going to go to the bathroom and you're like, I'm going to go save this life instead, it probably felt really great to save that life, right? It probably felt like this was what I was meant to do. This is why I went into medicine. This is very important, and it felt very important in the time, and going to the bathroom instead might have not felt quite as great, right? Whereas if I'm needing to order diapers but I really need to go to the bathroom, I'm thinking like the diapers, if I order them now or in 5 minutes, not going to be a big deal. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to feel good about that. I'm going to come back and order those diapers. It's going to be a great day. And so really understanding like what is happening in your mind when these circumstances or these decisions come up, and what that then means for the rest of your day, for the rest of the hour, for the rest of your life, is really, really important.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. So, and moving through your story, right? So some colleagues stopped you and said, "Hey, you can't keep doing this."
Mm-hmm.
You become part of the leadership team, part of the committee. You lead the committee. You get trained. How does that now impact you? Because all this time you're doing this for other people, maybe, right? So how does that then? How did you then turn that to yourself, and how did that become a benefit to you?
Yeah, I would say that my coaching and coach training has completely changed the way that I look at my life, and the way that I look at my interactions with people, and the way that I communicate with my team, and the way that I communicate at home. And um, it has just completely changed everything about me. Actually was with my mom a couple weeks ago, and she was like, this actually makes me kind of sad, but also happy at the same time. She actually said to me, like, Mallory, you actually seem happy. Like for once, like you actually seem like you're happy. And I mean, that's really sad that for, I'm not gonna tell you how old I am today, but for so many years, I wasn't
Mm,
happy. And I, I truly am now. Like it has changed my life completely. And I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to lead these groups and to do these trainings and to get the coaching that I got. I'm so grateful for that, because I don't know where I would be had I gone, 2 more years, 3 more years, 4 more years, as unhappy as I was. I'm just so, so grateful. My life has completely changed.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, yeah.
I know. It's like, I tell that story and I'm like, I don't know if I should be, sad about that or happy about that, or, like there's all the emotions that come up when I think about that. When she said that, I was like, it's true. Like I don't ever remember a time that I was this happy all the time. It's almost weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That's a big one. And and there are so many people that somebody can probably say similar things to them, right? That, okay, something has changed. They've gotten coaching, they've gotten counseling, something has happened, and someone looks at them now and says, wow, you just seem happy. And that's a good thing, by the way. Let me say that. That's a good thing. So I love that. We are talking to Dr. Mallory Salentine about her story about coaching and how coaching has affected her. And we're going to come back and talk to her a little bit more. Let's see. We had a visitor with us, and let's see. Florence was here. So Florence, good evening. Thank you for being here. I said, hello, good evening, Dr. Wood and Dr. Mallory. Florence, we're glad that you're here. Florence is one of our regulars. I see some other folks that have given us a thumbs up. If you're out there, go ahead and log into your account, and so you can talk with us and comment with us. We are in the middle of our Diabetes Awareness Month, and this month today is World Diabetes Day. Right now, we're talking about coaching, and one of the things I love about coaching is that it can be applied in so many different places. It can be applied so that you can take charge of your life, take charge of your health, take charge. I mean, there's so many aspects of our lives that we sometimes don't realize are not exactly the way we want. And coaching is a great place to have that happen. So we're going to come back and talk with Dr. Salentine a little bit more. But right now, let's go ahead and let's do our thought of the day. All right, so our thought of the day comes from Steve Jobs. He says, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. That's Steve Jobs, right? So amazing person. And think about all the things that he did. Do you know that at one time Steve Jobs was fired from the company that he made? Right? So they said to him, hey, you can't do this anymore. So he left and he went off and he formed another company. And I'm not going to name the name of the company, but if you have been in the computer industry, you know that company, he did something and the device, everybody was all excited because of course it's Steve Jobs. He's coming from Apple. And he went over and he did it, and it didn't quite go the way he expected that it would go. And then they came back and they said to him, hey, we want you to come back to the company. And the story goes that he says, sure, but you got to do it my way. Right? So it's easy to get caught up in what other people think you should be doing with your life. Your parents, right? They want a career path for you. Your friends may pressure you to go to the same college, to get the same whatever, live in the same area. And society as a whole often dictates that there are certain milestones that we have to hit at certain ages. But it's important to remember that your life is yours and yours alone. You only get one shot. So don't waste it living somebody else's life, somebody else's dream, somebody else's idea of what you should be doing. So when Steve Jobs came back, went to the company, And everything that we know right now as it comes to Apple is his baby, his vision. You remember when he would come out with those announcements, right? The product updates, right? And he come on, and he was a master. So if you look around the industry, that's what everybody does now. Everybody has these updates, right? They come out, they've got the black, sweater with turtleneck, right? They've got the jeans, they've got the clicker. You know where that started? That's right, Steve Jobs, the guy who was fired from his own company and came back. The cell phone industry. Wow, what a big thing. Personal computers, right? I've got a Mac right here. Your tablet, all that came as a birth from the mind of this guy. So don't live somebody else's dream. If you've got a vision, nobody else right now may see that vision. They may not understand the vision. They may not see what you see. But that doesn't mean that what you see is wrong. Your time is limited, he said. So don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Live your life today. That's our thought for today. All right. And we are talking with Dr. Mallory Salentine about coaching and her journey into coaching. Amazing story so far. Let's go back and let's bring her back. So Mallory, Dr. Salentine, I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you for being with us. What a wonderful conversation so far.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I know you probably picked the thought of the day based on what we're talking about, but the thought of the day of making your own life, making your own decisions, not going by what other people are saying is exactly kind of what we're talking about today with coaching, right? Is you have the answers, you have everything that you need within you, and how to bring them out is kind of what we're doing when we're coaching, is bringing out those answers, bringing out those thoughts, so that way you can live your life the way that you want to and not the way that people are telling you to. So it's beautiful.
Right. Now, do you find that and I'm asking this question that I probably know the answer, that there are thoughts that people have that they're almost afraid to explore?
Oh, yeah.
There are ideas, there are goals, there are so many different things they have that they don't want to explore. And so coaching is a prime place and way for them to begin poking at those things.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that's really important when you're thinking about coaching or you're looking for a coach, is that you find someone that you trust and that you can be open and honest and vulnerable with, because your coach will bring things out of you that will surprise you, that might trigger you, that you didn't even know you had in you, or that you weren't feeling ready to talk about. And I always tell, the people that I'm coaching that if there's something that we talk about that you're just not ready to talk about, or you feel like you're, uncomfortable with, either lean into that lean into that discomfort, or tell me like, this, I can't talk about this right now. Let's, change topics or move on or something like that. Because it's so important that when you do have a coach and when you do choose a coach, that you have someone that you can trust and be vulnerable with, because that's how real transformation happens. It doesn't happen if you keep things kind of surface level and you're like, you're unable to really think deeply about what is affecting you. It's really when you're able to go deep, you're able to find those blind spots, you're able to be more aware of what's happening for you, that transformation happens. And so I love that you brought up, like, some people might not want to go there. Some people might not feel comfortable talking about things. And I think that's where trust is really, really important in that coaching relationship.
Awesome. So if I'm sitting out watching this and I am not sure, right? This coaching for me, is it not for me? What do you say to someone right now who is watching and they're like, yeah, well, that sounds like me. Like I'm having those feelings. I'm not sure. I'm anxious. I don't want to use the overwhelmed, right? Everybody's using that term now. What do you say to them?
Yeah, coaching is hard work. So I'm not gonna, sit here and pretend like it's all flowers and dog kisses and all of those things. It is hard work, and in order to get out of it, a transformation, you have to put that hard work in. And so I think, if someone's like, I feel like I want to make a transformation, I feel like I have these feelings, my best advice is to like talk to a coach and do a session and see if it's for you, because I also think coaching might not be for everyone, right? Is sometimes one coaching call can change your life, and that's great. And then you say, great, like I've had that one, coaching call, I figured it out, like I don't need more than this, and that's wonderful. Or it might be that you need more than coaching, right? It might mean that you need maybe to have more mental health help, like therapy or psychiatry or something like that. And I think being able to just have that conversation and trying it out and seeing how you feel and seeing, who that coach is really valuable, to just see, like, do I need this? Do I not need this? Do I need something different?
Okay. Wow. 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 Um, so tell us a little bit about, and I'm going to give you some time here in a minute, but tell us what a typical coaching, like what is your coaching like? So you do leadership coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Do you also do people who are not leaders, just regular run of the mill like me person?
Well, let me address that first. All physicians are leaders. Right? We all lead teams. You lead a clinic. We are all definitely leaders. Um, but yes, I do. I really coach everyone. I think, it's interesting to see how people within different industries, what their issues are and how similar they are actually to people who work in healthcare. It's so interesting to see like all of the commonalities between industries and then also the differences between people, right? And so I really love helping. I really love guiding. I really love going on these journeys with people. And so I do help leaders and non-leaders in coaching. And so for me, it really is tailor made to the person. So understanding what their issues are and what maybe barriers they're hitting, or what feelings of control or out of control that they have, and really understanding that person and then tailoring the coaching to exactly what that person needs. So I think, understanding and listening in that first session very deeply of what is happening for this person and how can we help them get past this place, or how can we help them become the person that they want to be.
Wow, that's a lot. And
It's a
but you
lot.
said coaching is work.
It is.
It is work. So well, good. Well, I'm just excited. The last question, I think I'm thinking more questions as we go, and then we're just barely scratching the surface of all this information. We're gonna have to have Dr. Salentine back. So you see that I'm asking her online. So she has to commit because her entire world sees no. But so your ability, right, to get benefit was tied to your ability to engage with coaching, right? And you've said that a few times here. Tell me a little bit more about that, right? Because sometimes people come to coaching, they think they want to be coached, they think they want to make a change, but coaching doesn't quite get them there, right? Tell me about that commitment that they've got to have.
Yeah, I would say that coaching, like anytime that you are thinking really deeply about what's going on for you, about your emotions, about your thoughts about what actions you're taking, it is hard to do and it is uncomfortable. And you really have to be able to get past that discomfort. So, when I hired my first coach, she actually kind of offended me actually the first time I met her. She told me that I was making decisions out of a place of pain. And I was like, what? Like, I've been working on this for years. Like, I've been trying to, get out of this place of pain. I feel like I'm in a really good place. And I was actually kind of offended. And she knows this. We've talked about this. So this is not something new for her to hear tonight. But, I wasn't ready to hear that. And I went back to, my husband. I went back to my sister-in-law, who's a coach. And I was like, she's saying I'm making decisions out of a place of pain. And I don't know how I feel about that. And I was kind of offended. And they kind of talked me through that. And so when I went back, to her, and I was like, okay, I want to work with you. I want you to know that was, something that triggered me. I understanding where you were coming from with that. And now I'm ready to, now that I've thought about it more deeply, I'm ready to open up where that pain is coming from and really spend the time thinking about that pain and what is happening for me and how do I get out of it? Because I was ready to get out of it. And I thought that I was out of it, but I don't think that I was truly there yet. And coaching just really was that extra push to get me out of that place of pain into a place of neutral first, and then into a place of happiness. And I think, the hard part is being able to be open and being able to be vulnerable and trusting the person that's in front of you to hold that, hold that vulnerability and hold that openness in a very trusting way. And so, there was always homework to do. There's always things that, I needed to do after our sessions, and that would take time, that would take thought. But I think the hardest thing that I see and the hardest thing that I have experienced is really digging deep and being vulnerable is extremely difficult to do. And I think that's the hard work that you need to be willing and open to doing and looking at.
Wow. Yeah. So you got to commit, you've got to be open, and you have to trust the process. The process. I'm in a group right now, and sometimes there are things that I think you guys lost me.
I don't see you.
Yeah. I'm not sure what happened there. Well, this is a great place for us to give Dr. Salentine some time to tell us about herself. But let me just say thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on. We're having some difficulties here on this side, but why don't you take a moment to tell people how can they reach you if they want to work with you? What's going on with you right now?
Yeah, so I would love to work with you if you're thinking about coaching. You can actually schedule a first session with me at my website, which is www.salentine, which is SALENTINE, coachingandconsulting.com. You can also follow me on Instagram. It's Mallory Salentine, and on LinkedIn, which is also Mallory Salentine. And then I know Dr. Wood also has my link tree there. I do have a couple of freebies. So there is a 8 steps to proactive resiliency and 5 quick leadership tips if you'd like to grab those. And I also have a newsletter that you can sign up for at that link tree as well.
All right. Let's see if if I'm gonna come back on. No, not yet. All right. This is awesome. Oh, there you go. Okay. See, that's what happens when you are live, right? You've got to roll with the roll with the punches. Well, Dr. Salentine, thank you so much for once again being with us and having this conversation with me. Like I said, we've got to have you back, and we're going to dig into more. I think I'm going to ask you to stay by for just a minute as we kind of close out the show. All right. So thank you once again. Oh, I didn't even get her a chance to say thank. Okay, let me go back. There you go. All right. So now I'm getting all the wrong screens. There you go. All right. Yes. So this is it. So thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really great, and I would love to come back anytime.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for being with me on the show. As I always say, I love this. Right? You guys see that I have a good time, and we have great guests, people who come on to share their expertise, share their thoughts, and to give us insight to different things. Next week, we're going to have father and son. Right? You remember Richard Harding and his son who came on. They cooked for us around last Thanksgiving, and they're going to come back next week, and they're going to cook for us on air, a live show, something for Thanksgiving. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You got to come back to see that, right? Coaching has been exploding, and a lot of us feel stuck. I'll tell you that when I encountered Dr. Salentine, right, it was the right time at the right place because there were things going on with me that I needed some help getting through. And her questions to me, and I've had a couple of other conversations with her, and usually it's that one question that she asks, and she just has a way of like getting that right one. and it really has helped me. So if you're in that position, if you feel like you're stuck, if you feel like there's something else, you want to go to a next level, I encourage you to make yourself available to coaching, right? Find her website. You saw that there on the graphic. We'll have that in our link. We'll have that information so you can go out and you can start talking to someone, right? Sign up for one of her coaching calls, her discovery call, right? Get there. Right? Don't let another year go by. Next year, right? This date, the 14th of November, it's coming back around. And if you are here on the 14th of November, don't say, man, I should have done it last year. Okay, so that's my push for you guys. Glad that you're here on this channel. I help to educate. I help to empower and encourage you to take charge of your health and take charge of your life, going to the next level and living that life that you've always wanted. If you've not already done so, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, give us a like, let us know that you like this content that we're doing. Create a free YouTube account. Go into the account, hit the subscribe button and the bell to alert you when we put new and exciting content up. And just here in about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, we're going to be doing our next installment of our Diabetes 101, right? We're repeating our show from last night because, as you know, if you were out there, you know that I did the entire show and there was no sound, right? And I thought I was doing a great time. I was animated and I got my slides up and everything good time. And then somebody said, no volume. Yeah. So so I took that down today, but you guys, I think about 20 of you guys watched it anyway. So thank you for watching me, and come on back and we will do this again. So once again, thank you, Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. And here on the channel, I help to educate, I help to empower, and I help to encourage you to take charge of your life and your health, going to that next level and living the life you've always wanted. So thank you for being. Good night. We'll see you here in another hour and a half, or we'll see you next week at our next show for Father and Son Cooking. Let's get some music and let's get on out of here. Good night.